This will be very different because in this video, I'm going to discuss a very intense and sensitive subject that a lot of consumers will disagree with. In fact, they may hate what I have to say, but at the end of the day, I'm an RV educator, and I feel like it's my duty to help you along with your journey, even when you have an RV trade-in. Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle. They call me the Honey Badger because I give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business. And this video applies whether you have a toy hauler trade-in, travel trailer, truck camper, fifth wheel. Doesn't matter if it's a towable RV or a motorized RV, it all applies. Now we're going to discuss the biggest differences between the automobile industry and how trades are determined, and the RV industry and how trades are determined. And there's a lot of differences. Most people don't want to talk about it, but there are a lot of differences. Now, I'm also going to do something that dealers hate. Dealerships will kick my butt for saying this, but I am going to teach you how to properly negotiate a deal when you have an RV trade. Whether you owe money on it or you have the title or pink slip, you're going to be very happy with that information because it's very different than what you're taught in the automobile industry. And, well, I know some dealers will like it, but most of them will be like, "Ugh, why is he telling people that?" Okay, let's get to it. So the biggest differences between the automobile industry and the RV industry starts with something called V-Auto. Now, what is V-Auto? V-Auto is a system, and there's sister systems just like it, that across the United States and parts of Canada, you can plug in a car, SUV, or truck's VIN number, and it gives you all kinds of data. The one data point that's really important is called MMR. MMR is the average price that vehicle goes for at the auction. And that, this might sound blasphemous, but that in the car dealership world is the Bible. You don't pay more than MMR. Now, the profit margin between a used car and what it sells for and what a dealer pays for it is very small, but they sell a ton. Most used RV or used car dealership, most used car dealerships sell 50 to 100 cars a month, and that's enough to keep the dealership open. On the RV dealership side, most big dealers sell between 5 and 7 used pieces a month. See the difference? Okay, now, watch this. The other thing V-Auto gives you is they give you the lending book. And what a car dealership is allowed to do, and what the lenders want the car dealerships to do, is to click every single option on that car, whether it adds value or subtracts value. Now you heard that right, because there are some options on a automobile, SUV, truck, etc. that actually decreases the value of that vehicle. So they want that marked on every single one. In the RV side of things, you're not allowed to click anything. Now, there are exceptions to that. I'll cover that in a few minutes, so hang on before everybody screams and yells. There are a couple exceptions. I will cover that, but you're going to go, "Oh, well, that's pretty much the same thing." What most lenders do is they give you a percentage of what they call allowable ads. What is that? So let's say you have a book of $10,000 by the lending guidelines, not what you see publicly, but what the dealer pays for. Most banks allow you to add 10% for all the extras on the coach. But wait a minute, I added $20,000 of suspension and $50,000 of solar. The bank doesn't care. They're financing the box. This is a toy. This is not a need. This is not a Honda Civic you're driving to go to work to make money. You're using this to go on vacation. You're using this to build memories. It's your own personal hotel on wheels. It is a recreational vehicle. So the way they trade the lending guidelines in a RV, a boat, a dirt bike, a side-by-side is very different than your Toyota Corolla, your Nissan Titan, your Ford F-150. Okay. Now, when a car dealership gets your trade, they then look at things like brakes, electrical, does it run, does it need tires, does it need a little paint, does it need a little scrub, etc., etc., etc. In the RV world, we generally don't get your trade till you actually come pick up the new unit. So we have to do a best guess, and most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if it comes anywhere close to the best guess, we don't rock the boat, so we take all the risk if something doesn't work. I've been through that road. I've been down the road where the dealership's doing 10 deals in one day doing deliveries with 3 trades. 2 of them came out exactly how the customer said, and the one I got up the patootie with. Okay, so I've been down that road. So when a dealership, an RV dealership, is looking at a travel trailer or a motorhome, they got to assume not just tires, not just brakes, but now I got to test appliances. Now I got to check the roof. Now I got to check B, C, D, E, F, G, inverter, batteries, stovetop, propane leaks, propane regulator, propane leak detector, smoke detector, bearing pack. Now, am I saying that every dealership does that? No. But I know my boys at RV Ready in Lake Elsinore, California, who actually gave me this idea to do this video. In fact, you're probably watching this on their website more than likely, if not YouTube. And they go through an entire process where a lot of times they spend a ridiculous amount of money getting a used piece ready for sale. Okay, now we've covered that. Now the exception. The exception is there are credit unions that do allow you to click every option, but they don't give you the same percentage. They give you what I call back percentage of MSRP, or full retail price. What does that mean? Well, I'll give you an example. There's 2 credit unions that you could book it all the way out to full retail, and they'll give you between 65 and 70% of that as the amount of the loan they'll purchase it on. That's called back percentage. While if you're dealing with like US Bank, Huntington, BMO, a lot of other banks, they give you the 10% allowable ads and give you 110 to 115% on top for the lending. So a lot of times it all ends up around the same number, one way or the other. Now, at the end of the day, you can call 19 different dealerships in the car industry and get around the same number on your car. You can call Carvana or CarMax and they'll come buy your car out straight out, and they'll all give you around the same number. Some will give you a couple $100 more, some will give you a couple $100 less. In the RV industry, you can call every dealer from Florida all the way up to Oregon to British Columbia to Alberta to Saskatchewan. Yes, are you surprised, Canadians? I know how to say Saskatchewan. That's right. Okay. And it's Regina, not Regina. Anyway, long story short, you can get 100 different opinions about what that trade-in's worth. Now, my boys at RV Ready, if it's a trade, let's say a 2017 Jayco Whitehawk 27RK, more than likely, they're going to call some dealerships that they know and go, hey, what is your opinion about this, before they actually take it in trade. Why do they do that? Because this is where the auto industry and the RV industry are severely different. Watch this, folks, because this will blow your mind. Okay, watch this. When the auto industry takes a trade-in, they can automatically floor plan it, which means they can automatically get a loan on it to put the cash value in the bank and pay off the trade. So they don't have to go and put money out of the bank account to deal with the trade-in. and they have 120 days to sell that car. That's why you'll see people like car dealerships will drop the price so quick on cars when they've been on stock for like more than 60 days. Okay, it's like, whoa, they went from 19 grand to like 17.5 in like 30 days. Why'd they do that? Because they have to pay off that loan. Okay, and the RV industry, it's all cash out of pocket. So let's use my boy Sammy. Sammy at RV Ready is one of the owners, okay? And he takes a trade-in. It's that 2017 Jayco Whitehawk. Let's say he gives the customer $8,000 and they owe $12,000. Sammy has to write a check for $12,000 to the bank and then has to write a check to the bank he borrowed the loan on for the piece of inventory. So in general, he's going to be out between $8,000 and $16,000 out of his bank account until he sells that trailer and collects maybe any back-end money he might have gotten from either the manufacturer or the bank that did the loan on the new coach. Now, if that's confusing to you, just imagine this. Let me give you an example. Let's say that a guy came up to you with a Corvette and wanted to swap you straight out for your F-150. But your F-150, you're underwater in that truck $16,000. But in order to pay off your truck, you have to have the full 56 grand because the Corvette's worth 40, your truck's worth 40, plus the $16,000. So you're out $56,000 until you either sell the Corvette or until you recoup the money another way. It's called cash flow. That's how businesses run. Businesses run on cash flow. That's it. Okay, now the secret, the big secret. How do we negotiate a deal? Okay, well, let me start with, you never ask a dealer what my trade-in value is. Never, 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 never in the RV industry do you ask what your trade-in value is. You never negotiate that. Now I'm going to show you the two things that you negotiate. Now, if you're financing, write this down. If you're financing the new unit and you owe money on the used unit, you do not negotiate the trade value. You negotiate down payment first. Here's the reason why. Let's say, and let me give you kind of an example of what I do. Back in the day when I was more like intense in sales and wasn't wearing like 12 different hats at a dealership, I almost knocked this one off. I used to tell people, okay, if you owed money on a trade, great. Are you looking to just get it paid off? Most people, I'd say 9 out of 10 said, yeah, that would be great. If we could just get the loan paid off, we'd be great. I would say, okay, let's set that aside for a second. How much cash down did you and your family budget for the new unit? Where do you think I was directing people? To the actual most important thing in that deal, which is down payment. Why? Why is down payment the most important? Because that's the most important part of the structure of the deal. If you cannot come close to the down payment the dealer needs, or the dealer can't come close to the down payment you have budgeted, then it doesn't matter what your trade-in's worth. It's not going to change. So you negotiate the down payment first. Once you've got the down payment down and you're happy with the down payment, then you go to the next box, which is the price of the new unit. That's all that matters. Realistically, if you can get those two in line, the rest of it falls into place. Okay, so if you get right discount on the trade the new trailer or the new fifth wheel, the new motorhome that you're buying, and the down payment's exactly right around where you want to be, the payment naturally will line up. Then you negotiate the payment, that's a bonus. And then you go into your paperwork. The reason why is because you're going to look at your trade-in value one time and one time only. And it's not important. The most important part is what you're paying for the new one. That's the most important part. Down payment, payment, and price. Okay. Now, let's say that you own the trade-in free and clear. You have the title, or as a truck camper and you know, it's just paid off. This is very different. Whether you're going to stroke a check for the new one or you're going to finance the new one, both ways are the same negotiation. You negotiate the cash difference price, not the trade-in value. You don't negotiate the price, you don't negotiate the trade, you negotiate the difference. Okay? And that's all you hammer. Now, if you're going to finance the difference, I'm going to give you the biggest secret of all. Watch this. So you sat down, let's say that your trades were, your trade-in and the unit, you're going to want to do a $50,000 cash difference. Okay, you're trading a travel trailer, you're buying a fifth wheel, you're like, if I can get to 50 grand total out the door difference figure, I'll do it today. You let the sales guy get up, walk to the desk man in a tower or an office or whatever, count down 45 seconds in your head, get up and quietly walk towards that office, peek your head in and go, hey, I forgot to say something real quick. The difference figure I'm going to finance for probably a year or two, and then walk away. Don't say anything else. Don't let them ask you a question. Don't let them say anything. If they get, don't even do it. Just walk back to your seat. Okay? The reason why you do that is because in a cash difference scenario, the guy at the desk has to make a decision where he's going to put the money. Okay? He's either going to put the money in your trade or put the money in the new one you're buying, because they can't do both. They know they can't do both in a cash difference scenario. Okay? They're going to try, but you're smart enough you're not going to fall for it. When you throw in, hey, I'm going to finance it for a year or two, if you're not going to stroke the check, now they go, okay, now I got some flexibility where I can get a little bit of money from the bank to help me with the difference figure. Okay? There's three ways for a dealership to make money. They can make the money on the profit of the new one, on your trade-in, or on the financing. So when you pay cash and you don't trade anything in, you really have no negotiating power. Not as much as if you have a trade or you're financing or you're doing all three trifecta. The people that do the trifecta usually end up with the best deals, because a dealer, we used to say, give away the new to steal the used. So I used to see us do, when I was working at Giant RV, this is years ago, we used to take $250 profit deals on a bighorn fifth wheel if we knew we were getting a decent trade-in. And if you were financing, we'd probably do a back of invoice deal to get the trade-in at the right number where the dealer's going to sell it, make money, because we can replace the new, we can't replace the used. So there's not a used RV factory pumping out used. Okay? So at that moment in that scenario, right, that would be the trifecta, is if you have all three. Because they're like, hey man, if I make $1,200 total on this Bighorn or on this Brinkley or on this Grand Design or this Cherokee fifth wheel, and I can get the trade-in at the right price, I'll make all the money on the trade, and you at the end of the day get a better deal out of it as the consumer. So don't believe all this car business jack. That car business crap just doesn't work the way you think it does. Okay, so always remember, negotiate if you're financing. I don't care if you're upside down. I don't care if you got equity. I don't care if you're even in your trade. You don't negotiate the trade value. You negotiate down payment first. Then you negotiate price second. If you own the trade free and clear, no matter if you're financing the new unit or you're paying cash for the new unit, you work the cash difference figure. That's it. Cash difference figure. If you follow that to the T, you will never be mad about the deal you make. You will sleep better at night. If you ask what your trade's worth and work your deal backwards like a car, you're never going to be happy. A dealer can never pay you enough for your trade, and you can never buy the new unit cheap enough if you work it that way. Now, I do have 3 secrets that I think you're really going to like. So if you click on this playlist in the top right-hand corner of this video, you're actually going to see some really good tips and tricks when it comes to RV financing. So remember, until next time, RV stands for toolkit and sense of humor.